Hello, welcome to this video. My name is Allie with Amory Speaks. It is August 2nd, 2026, and this is a video on the negative perspective of privacy. I did a video the other day on the positive perspective on privacy, and that one could be definitely helpful to watch beforehand. I put it out at the forefront sort of as the foundation of what we expect and want privacy to be about and to look like when we're speaking about positive interactions and exchanges. Here in this video, what I'm going to speak a bit about is what negative interactions and exchanges look like and are assumed to be when we operate in a negative alignment. So thanks for watching. Thank you. If you're brand new here, I have a bunch of different videos on systems alone to talk about these energetic exchanges and what I mean by systems. I put out a couple videos prior to this speaking kind of in a recap, refresh way about sacred boundaries and about the main differences between productivity and functionality of positive systems versus negative systems as well. So I'll try to remember to put links into the description for all of those videos that I've done recently. This video I'm just going to try to stay on point and speak about the negative construct. Some of this stuff is quite obvious, and the thing is, the world around us is highly negatively aligned, and so some things seem like, oh yeah, of course, that's just the way it is. But that's what negative wants us all to think and see when we interact with their rules, with their systems. They want them to come off and look natural. They want them to be believed by us that it's just the way it is. So even though it's uncomfortable, or even though it doesn't look to be the best answer, or whatever the case might be, instead of thinking outside the box and looking for whole different solutions, what they want us to do is conform. And if you look at anything around us in our world, in any kind of industries, businesses, all of these different indoctrination bubbles of experience here, it's like case in point is what they're doing. So just to speak a little bit contrasting to what I brought up in the positive videos, that's what I'm going to attempt to do here today. So negative versions of everything have a backwards approach and perception of reality. Reality is multidimensional, multi-layered, and what negative construct asks creator consciousness to do is to kind of ignore the complexity and focus in on their desired portion of reality and of operation. And just by doing that, it's as a thought experiment, kind of, you have to put yourself in their shoes, and by putting yourself in their shoes, well, you've become part of the game to them, and to their system. And so these things can seem inescapable, inevitable. They could even get you to start justifying different processes or different lies, different manipulations. They will feel, well, if I only have this choice, then I have to make the best of it. And just by doing that alone is exactly what negative creator consciousness is hoping to lasso others into when they created that system in the first place, because that's a main signifier and red flag of a negative system, of inverted operations, improper usage. But they don't want, we don't want us to look at it in that way. They want us to hop upside down as well and say, oh yeah, it all looks right to me. And then just go along with it, forgetting that you've hopped upside down. It's like, so in hopes of not encouraging negative look at anything, this is why I put out the positive video first too. It's like, there's a better way to look at things. There's a much better way of operation. There's a much clearer, more honest, truthful, comfortable position to play from. But in this video, I'm looking at the contorted, distorted version of negative systems. So please keep that in mind. So like I started and then I got off on a tangent. The negative system, a negative perspective, doesn't do anything new. It cannot create anything new. All it can do is contort, restrict, or change things that are already in existence. So just to keep that in mind as well, as we look at this, and because they can't create anything new, because they've closed off their heart and their core connection to God, Source, Creator, what happens as a necessity is they have to have something to ground into. They have to have a foundation. And so what they choose as their foundation is the physical world. And so operations become immediately inverted, because what should be the last representation of manifestation, it should be the last concern of consciousness, it should be the last model to present symptoms or rippled out effects in an organic alignment. What happens with the negative alignment is that the physical world becomes the first world to them. It becomes the most potent and important world to them. And so what should be the last world and the linchpin and sort of the seal on the deal as the last representation of truth to come forward, they choose that to be the first place that truth, their version of conformed products, has to be seen and manifested in this physical world. And as soon as it is, that seals their deal and pushes backwards into mental and into spiritual world the form they've already solidified. And that pushback through an opposite flow as to the way that it's supposed to flow, it flows with the inverted system. It keeps things upside down, and it creates this kind of current against which you feel like you can't flow through. And this is, to me, one of the main strongest threads, sort of, in their control mechanisms of how they get people so stuck in their false inversions and in their bad processes and in their lies. Because they trick everyone into thinking that this world, the physical world manifestations, is the end-all be-all, the most important placement, and the one that speaks. If it doesn't show in the physical world, it's not real. And this is their parroted back law and truth that they repeat on cycle, lie after lie after lie, say it a million times, and it will conform to truth to people. It will just become a mantra that they will anchor into and magnetically pull themselves towards, instead of hearing the real ring of truth and the real magnetic pull and call that calls through the spirit first, then to the mental, then to the physical. That they will cover up, they will dilute, they will put a manhole cover right over the heart center and just say, no, we don't listen to that. That's not important. Don't even bother with that. Cognitive biases, adaptation to sensory input, we just ignore it. It's not there. And so they miss out, or they on purpose ignore this true calling of truth. And it becomes more and more easy to do, and these rivets get carved in deeper and deeper into negative systems, because they say that evidence is physical form. And this world, when things are repeatable, when things follow suit with their descriptions, they are gaining power by these likenesses and feeding their egregore and creating an appearance of strength and an appearance of truth, an appearance of moreness. And so they think by having a greater, stricter, stronger appearance and more dense appearance, that more people will be conforming to confirm that that is what is real, actually. And the more intelligence, the more mind power and attention energies that come into this thing that say that it is real, the greater the capacity of influence becomes in the physical world. And it's this lynching cycle that I call it a slave master cycle and liar loops, because it really is like this. It's like as soon as you agree to it, you're stuck in there with them because you've already stepped into it. And the only way to get out of the looping is to step out of it and to realize that it's all based on lie in the first place. And so much like I said just about them being obsessed with the physical world, all of their words that they choose to use become at the forefront of physical symbology that reflects in the physical world, and then cues to the mental world that it is real. The mental world then agrees with the physical world and doesn't care what the spirit says, honestly, because the two of them together, mental and physical, they just choke out anything the spirit has to say, because it doesn't, they've already confirmed between the two of them that they're right. And this is again where we get these sort of deep gut feelings, and then we end up arguing with self, or we don't know which way is right, and we get all these really confusing spaces inside self where we feel lost, or we feel misguided, or and exactly how we just fall into negative systems, because the truth of the matter in real, true, organic alignment is that spirit speaks through truth, which vibrates through mental space, electrical informational input, that those messages are sent to the body and the body responds. The body is not the boss. The physical world is nothing, in fact, except for manifested thought. Manifested thought can come from nowhere except for heart, source, spirit, not anatomical heart. I mean the feeling of connected love that God has bestowed upon all of us. That is that line and connector to organic truth and to before and after. Those things are what are more real than the final display of symptomatic repercussions that takes this world into form. And this is truth. This is the real deal. But negative alignment hates that. It cannot use that to its advantage. It has no wiggle room there. And so what it's done is just like I said, it's flipped everything on its head. It puts all of its vested influence and value and importance into physical world, into the last layer, and then it pushes back incorrectly from that space. And same thing with the word privacy. This privacy then becomes something that it's not in a regular positive alignment systems and architecture. It is, like I've already talked about that in the other video, it's a grounded truth of connectivity, which is then upheld and sponsored by sovereignty and sacred boundaries. We have a common courtesy of privacy and protection that positive alignments offer out to all other beings in agreement and accordance with the laws of the separation simulation, having God and spirit at the forefront of that connection and communication. And versus what happens with privacy in the separation simulation in a negative alignment is that the separate physical forms confirm their truth, their laws, their rules that say that it's YOLO, one winner takes all, one go at it, survival of the fittest, you're separate, so you worry about you, I'll worry about me. And it sets these firm, strict boundaries between every person that says we all agree we don't want to be one. We're not really one. Yeah, we're one species. Yeah, we're mankind, or even this is what happens with trickle down improper usage and rules and laws and negativity, is that spawns into every other thing. So even in your closest direct family unit, you will have an issue connecting to wholeness, to one, to feeling together. You'll always have fear, doubt, hatred, kernels of these things in whatever kind of happy family you try to make, because there is this underlying confirmed agreement that we're not really one. I'm separate. I am me. And at the end of the day, I'm the only person who cares about me. We're not completely interconnected. We're not one, the negative systems really help to cement the separation in a very exclusive way. And it's quite uncomfortable, because when you think about your family, when you think about those in direct contact with you, immediate family, a spouse, parents, your children, siblings, we love unity. We want to be interconnected. We want to feel like they have our best interest at heart, that they see us as an extension of their self, and the way that they would treat themselves, they will treat us. But there will always be a cracked foundation if we have a set and setting and we've already adapted to negative alignments. This is why I've said for so many years and really taught about internal light and shadow work and alchemy, and how we can align and listen to our systems and find out what they're really doing in order to provide best corrections for the whole. But if we're not doing that, if that's not a part of vocabulary, if that doesn't come into your world at all, then you can have a really cracked foundation that you're attempting to link your family through, and then wondering why things just don't work out, wondering why you're unhappy, wondering why they don't get you. But unfortunately, people don't want to hear this, but it's your choice. It's been your choice all along. And you can correct that choice, and when you choose to do the work, and once you have a polar flipping inside of your systematic operations, that good truth, that positive alignment links you more deeply to those around you. And even if they are having issues, even if they run on improper systems, your continual balancing efforts are lighting their way, are showing through action the ways that positive exchanges could actually take place, the way that acceptance, forgiveness, unconditional love can actually heal and solve every problem. It's not easy work. And the negative alignment will tell us it's worthless. You're not making a difference. It will say that's stupid, that doesn't exist, that's not real. And to them I'll say, well, in your world it's not. And I truly feel bad for you, but I live in the real world. I don't want to live in a VR nightmare. I'm not trying to create a simulation that's a hellscape here. If you are, clearly, I feel bad and I pity you that you choose to use your time, attention, and your blessed gift of God, sovereignty, in that kind of demeaning and degrading way. But that's your authority of dominion is with you in your inner world. And me as a positive being, I respect that. You're allowed to make poor decisions for yourself, but it's not going to change the way I make my decisions. You're not influencing me. And that's the biggest rivet. That's the biggest issue with them, because negative alignments must have conformity. They must have agreement and adherence from everything that's around them. And unfortunately, to negative alignments, it's unhappy agreements. It's confirming that you're not good enough, that you are too weak, that you do need someone else, that, all of these worst thoughts and scenarios, jump in the pile and pity me, woe is me, jump as a victim with you. But the second that you don't want to victimize yourself and that you refuse to see them as a victim, actually, it breaks apart these entanglements and these like conformity clauses, you know. So that's why I believe, and I've seen it through my own work and knowledge, that it does work, and that it is just an opinion of negatively aligned people to say that that doesn't work. Now, negative privacy is a double-edged sword to them, because negative doesn't offer out any sort of benefit unless it's retribution, or, you know, the string attached to the carrot is always on their own fishing pole. You know, they know they have the pullback mechanism. They know that they are going to receive the retribution of whatever is out there being promised. And so they feel safe in offering out whatever is this kind of promise. So they set up this false idea that, and they really cling to the material world, so this plays right into the palm of their hand, right? That nobody else can hear your thoughts, nobody else can see what's on your mind, no one else can see inside your heart, no one can feel your feelings, no one knows what's going on inside of you unless you choose to tell them. And this veil that they offer and extend as privacy is like I said, a double-edged sword, and it's a twofold measure, because what happens is that it convinces the separated self that it has its own personal version of darkness, of distortion, of a curtain or a way to close out God. God is omnipresent. God sees everything. And there is no way to do that, but they don't like that. Like I said before, they ignore God. That doesn't come into play in their rationale, in their thinking at all. And so because there is no omnipresent infinite creator in this idea that they're creating privacy, their veil, their blanket, their curtain that they call privacy and that they close, that nobody can see into their world, it becomes really thick and heavy. And it allows darker spaces for shadow and ego to come in and to start contorting and making whatever it thinks it wants to make inside of here. And unfortunately, what it tells itself is that it has to keep its own system going and in order to survive. And that once it's gone, its survival is over. It's not worthy of eternal life. It's not worthy of extension. There's no possibility for that kind of idea because they've already closed themselves off to it. And so they feel like as soon as they expire or their system runs dry, or they have no more resources, they will expire, they will die, they will be gone and over with. And that's very, very scary and threatening to them. And so they love this kind of closed curtain place where they can count their riches, where they can make sure they still have enough to go on, where they can hoard their own little food and nutrients, and where they can hoard their secrets and their control mechanisms over others, and where they can hide all of their quote-unquote bad things, bad feelings, mistakes, and all of the incorrect improperness can be hidden. But here's the trick in the word, is that what they display out to the world when they choose to open that curtain with a smile and a makeup done face and a beautiful outfit, that's the only thing people see. They don't ever see in there in the dark all the bits. And so what is expressed is what matters, and the only thing that matters to them. And they get to choose when the expression is seen by others, and so they can promote a false image of the expression. And this is solidified and told and promised, through lots of different avenues and lots of different angles, physical, mental, and a diluted, darkened, blackened spirit section. And this gets more control on the self, on the singular consciousness expression of Creator Source within. And when Creator Source within starts to think that it fuels itself, very dangerous place to be at. It's a lot of lies to be propped up on, and for me, I try my hardest not to get into a set and setting like that, because it's not real, it's not true. And it will always come back to you in a way that really takes that pedestal right out from underneath you in a balancing swing of force that's, going to be a critical recorrection at some point. But anyways, not to say I've never been through those things. I have myself. I just try my hardest not to do that anymore. But anyway, so we have this strange blanketed idea in the inner world of what privacy means to the inner world. That ripples out to the outer world, because the outer world to them is most important, right? So it tells the inner world what to do, and everyone becomes super hyper focused on what that expression, the outward expression, showcases. And by this gross linking of others around us, all the other people who are part of third-party reality space, when they agree as well that presentation expression in material sense is what matters, what they own you by, what they'll know you by, there's this weird agreeance that happens where everyone just agrees to believe each other's lies, not question the truth, not pull that curtain, nobody poke in there, nobody question anybody's presentation. If the presentation is shown, it's the way. It's the one we're agreeing to, and there becomes this like continual lying net that holds everybody together, and the secondary double fold, the second side of the external promise of privacy, turns into a great opportunity for micromanaging, for surveillance, for this authoritative outsiders to now aggregate and collect and surveil all of those external happenings, and also to measure them, to score them, to create a gradient of value in the external world. And then it creates hypersensitivity and a hyper-focus on what we believe privacy to be out there in the world. And so we have a lot of different mechanisms that come into play to promote or break what we consider to collectively be this cloud of privacy. And nowadays, we have computer technology, we have screens, we have video, digital recordings, and all of these tools in the physical world that, just like the carrot on the stick, they extended them out as games, they extended it out as fun and entertainment, as helpful tools for people to make work easier in loads of different ways. And unfortunately, like I said before, they don't dangle anything out. They don't give anything away for free. Everything is on their fishing line. And now we're all getting hooked and caught and obsessing about and worried, and creating a greater fear structure about all the ways that they are going to put in front of our face that now they're controlling us. And this is all to their benefit, in having negative mechanisms out there that control privacy is hugely valuable to them, and it's hugely profitable to negative systems. And again, it sort of cements in the lies about what they tell us about what exchanges are and what privacy is. I think it's done in a measure to scare people into corners in the external world and to force them yet again into one of their solutions. They have these sort of alleyways of solutions, these sort of idea tunnels of what the future could look like if we went this way and that way, and they just want to corral as much consciousness as they can into their controlled projections and solutions. again, by really bolstering up and promoting the fear and worry that is blooming in the collective. You know, and it's not unwarranted. It's not inorganic either as to what questions are being posed in the material world. They're really good questions. They're really good concepts to philosophize over, or is that even a word? Or to ponder and to have conjecture and debates around. But what's really happening is, you know, they don't want us to have a full spectrum idea of these things. They want us to have debates and debacles in this section that they've already looked over so that they can still control the results at the end of the day. But control goes out the window with positive alignments, because control is never something that you can argue about or give away to another, because it's collective control, which always extends back to the benevolent, infinite creator, is the only one with true control in a positive perspective, right? But again, the negative perspective doesn't like that, doesn't own that, and so it then has all of these other inside the construct portions of control that they believe matter more, or more important to the now space than actually admitting that there's a benevolent creator behind it all. So yeah, negative privacy is controlled, micromanaged. Every single exchange that happens in the material world, and in the, you know, what they're attempting to really do too, this is so crazy, is that they want all of their control mechanisms, all their strings, to come from material, mental, into spiritual, and to really be able to formulate an architecture through all three layers in order to control them all. But they're such liars, and they're so lost in their own conundrum of lies that they are now telling on themselves with these conditional lies, because you're asking this lie to be foundational for this reason, that lie to be foundational for that reason, and then when they come together, that instead of them canceling each other out, because now we've seen that these lies are positioned on opposing pieces, so how could they ever come together? No, they don't want us to even look at any of that. They want us to just focus on the coming together and how they mesh together and force control. And I don't know what it is, a conscious capacity of discernment or what, that sets other people apart, but some people are so easily distracted that all they're noticing is that merging in the conforming of what they're trying to put these two polar lies together as, and then force control further through. But there's some of us who are just like, that makes no sense. This makes no sense. You've just told on yourself with that lie, so that means this is a lie and that's a lie. Let's backtrack it back completely. There's no merging here. There's no way for you to merge. But yet there's a ratio of attention, energy, and collective consciousness that is like, no, we're merging anyways. Forget about that. That doesn't matter. Or, you know, there's a lot of different lies they stand on, you know, to try to distract. And just like my hair is distracting me right now. It doesn't matter. Who cares? But yeah, you know, meaning to say, you know, that they want us to have this weird version of some kind of extended privacy out there, like we have some but not total, and that some things are okay to be hidden and should be just yours, versus other things that are for everyone. And you know, to me, it's two lies don't make a truth. Your two lies expose the truth, actually. And what the truth is at the end of the day, like I mentioned in the positive alignment, is that everything's already seen. Everything is seen. Everything is known. And in fact, we don't really have separation. And we don't really have this kind of privacy in the way that they've made us feel like we do. Because privacy is not this sort of like just a word that everybody gets to like interact with or not. Privacy, if you look at it from a positive potentiality, it's an agreement between people, a common courtesy. To not infringe, to not be nosy, to not poke your face into somebody else's business. But it's not because you can't. It's in fact because you can. And then it becomes a greater promise and a stronger linking in with positive productivity in people when they respect each other's privacy, because it upholds that truth even more, and it encourages transparent communication from the inner core, from a spiritual layer, instead of feeling like it's forced backwards on you after you've already sort of have this darkened place inside of you that like you don't want anyone to see. Positive alignment recognizes there's no dark inside of you. What are you talking about? And if you are harboring dark, or you have chosen, distortions or whatever, when you look inside, you see them. You don't hide things from yourself. It's not like this kind of base setting where you hide and lie. But like I mentioned in the positive video, we have common courtesy where we don't need to see directly. I don't need to go and read your mind, like hear your exact thoughts and see it written down on a piece of paper when I close my eyes, like dive into your mind and like see these things clear cut verbatim. Like the negative world will tell us is mind reading, or will tell us is happening or something like that. The truth of the matter is, like, you already get a sense, right when you're in a vicinity of another, you get these impressions and snapshots of what they're all about. And common decency, privacy on a positive sense says, I don't have to see every T crossed, every I dotted. I don't have to see the words written out in order to know you, or know what you mean or feel or think. And in fact, by pushing and pressing in that infringing manner to make you try to conform to what I expect it to be, that's negatively aligned. That's imposing your own set of structures and instructions on another, and that's not positively aligned. That's not what we're about. But again, the negative alignment, that it believes that. So yeah, I've sort of talked around everywhere, and I guess I'm going to leave it there. Yeah. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for sticking with me for 40 minutes, listening to me babble around. I really appreciate everyone who watches. Thank you for your contribution to our collective as well, and thanks for witnessing mine, and I'll see you next time.